Zero Carbon Charge, which recently changed its name simply to Charge, has launched its first off-grid EV charging station in South Africa, along the N12 route near Wolmaransstad in the Northwest Province. The site is the first of a network of 120 off-grid charging stations that Charge plans to deploy every 150 kilometers along South Africa's main intercity routes in the next couple of years. TechCentral was there for the launch of the first site, halfway between Johannesburg and Kimberley. It's the first ever off-grid EV charging station in the country and includes a huge array of solar panels and a selection of DC and AC chargers that can deliver up to 480 kilowatts of completely off-grid electricity with zero involvement from Eskom. This is Duncan McLeod here, and this is the TechCentral show with a special episode. We are about 40 kilometers outside Wolmaransstad in the Northwest Province for the launch of Zero Carbon Charge's first, it is the first, right?
Yes.
First off-grid charging station along the N12 route between Johannesburg and Kimberley, and I'm joined by the executive chairman and co-founder of Zero Carbon Charge, and that is Hubert Roux. Hubert, it's really good to see you.
Fantastic. Thank you. So good to have you here.
Congratulations on the launch. It looks very impressive, and I can't believe that none of this is running on the grid.
Yeah, it's an enormous milestone for us to commission our first one and test all the equipment. And touch wood, everything went according to plan, and we're charging 6 vehicles at a time. So it's working.
So tell me a bit about Zero Carbon Charge. Where did this idea come from? Whose brainchild was it? And how long has it been in development?
It's been in development for about 3 years. I've got a background in motor retail on the one hand, and on grid scale wind and solar developments. So it didn't take a stroke of genius to realize that on the one hand, the cars, electric vehicles are coming. And on the other hand, we've got a very weak grid that simply cannot deliver the power in quantities required to give a good charging experience in places like Wolmaransstad and Pofadder and Bitterfontein. And I think that's the one thing about EVs that people tend to underestimate is what an enormous task it is to replace petrol and diesel as an energy source with electricity. You know, it's just... when I started running the numbers, I was just amazed. So we were looking for a solution where we could charge a vehicle at its maximum capacity in a place like Pofadder consistently, and really give every EV owner the peace of mind that they can drive anywhere on the national roads. So we decided to build each one of these as small as we can to charge any vehicle on the market in South Africa at its maximum capacity, but build the largest possible footprint, covering in our first phase, all the national roads at 150 kilometer intervals. So this is the first of 120 stations planned for the national roads, and that's our first phase. After that, we'll look at where we have to densify, where we have to double up, and then of course to cover the regional roads and densify around the urban areas, the cities.
Sounds like a very expensive proposition. Have you secured the funding for all of this, and how much money are we talking about here to roll out a national network of charging stations?
The capital cost of the first phase in the order of 2.3 billion rand.
Wow.
We've self-funded up till now. We've pretty far down the track with the DBSA and various other predominantly green-focused funds worldwide. You know what makes the project very interesting? We simply are an energy company. We generate and sell energy, but we're a business to final consumer business. So we sell to the end consumer of electricity. So there's decent margin. and it's almost like a toll road. It's enormously capital intensive right up front, but after that you beneficiate sunlight. So the margins are healthy, your costs are very low, so it's absolutely doable. And you can interrogate Andres more about the source of funds, but we're pretty far down the line of securing the funding, certainly for the first 30 sites.
For the first 30, and where are you? We're outside Wolmaransstad at the moment on the N12. Where are you going to build next, and why?
We've got 150 sites in various stages of the land use and environmental applications. It's an astoundingly red tape driven process. So for our next phase, we intend doing the N1 from Cape Town to all the way to Messina.
Wow.
The N12 down to Kimberley, the N14 down, then past Kimberley down to Bloemfontein, and the N3, and that'll be 33 sites.
33. Okay, yeah. And that's the first phase of the.
That's the first phase.
Venture. What comes in phase 2?
Phase 2, we'll probably see, but it'll probably include the N7 up to Springbok, and then the N14 all the way to tie up with this network, and then the N2 and the N4.
And what sort of time frame are you looking to do all of this?
18 months.
For everything?
Yes.
That is incredibly ambitious.
We flew over, we met with them, we visited their suppliers, their technology suppliers, and yes, this is it. So nothing is new, nothing is difficult, but just combining and putting it together and then making it work. That was quite a moon landing. And I must say that we were obviously fearful of technical hitches, both software and with the hardware, but all the kit was pre-tested in China before it was shipped, and it's really shipped as a unit. So that container arrives here fully developed, gets loaded off a truck and just plugged into the rest of the system. So we're trying to dull it down and de-risk the technology as far as possible. And on this site, it certainly worked.
Thank you very much for your time, and congratulations on the launch.
Thank you very much, and thanks for being here.
Right, so I'm here with Andries Malherbe. Andries is the co-founder and director of Zero Carbon Charge. Andries, congratulations on the launch. We were just chatting about the costs involved in deploying infrastructure like this. So tell us a little bit about the funding route you've been down.
The funding has been a journey for us. You find out quite quickly in South Africa that most funding is debt funding, and because we don't have enough customers yet, we can't do debt. And in terms of equity, the South African market is actually surprisingly undeveloped, and most investors have very restrictive mandates. So we've actually been forced to raise our money overseas. There are certain what we would call DFRs in South Africa that development finance institutions like the DBSA that are very interested, that are helping us and have been very, very good for us. But we realize now that we will probably have to raise the bulk of the money overseas. And we engage with Absa Investment Bank, with whom we have a mandate, and we are now in extensive discussions abroad actually with funders, which look very promising.
So that'd be in the form of venture funding, would it?
We're more than a venture. We have a network. So we actually have an asset. But I guess we are certainly it's early stage funding.
Yeah. Has this been done elsewhere in the world, like in the States or in Europe, where you've got an array of solar systems and off-grid energy production, or is this a uniquely African thing?
It's a uniquely African thing, because because it's unlikely that we will have the funding in this country to build out the network as much as we need to. So, for example, in the UK, one of the people here today from the British High Commission was actually instrumental in redeveloping the back end in Britain for renewables, so for charging. So they really beefed up the distribution network and transmission network. And here, I guess, with all the demands we have, we're not going to do that. So in that sense, it's unique. We also have the other benefit that we have space. I mean, you can't really do this in the middle of Western Europe, but you certainly could do this in the rest of Africa. You certainly could do this in America. And I think what will happen is that people will figure out that actually, as solar is becoming cheaper, that it really makes sense to drive charges off solar, and that they will have a mix. If there's enough grid power, they will have a mix of solar and grid. If there's not enough grid power, they'll have a mix of solar and batteries. And I think it's going to become more common. I mean, I can tell you that from the time that we spec'd the system that we have to now, the number of suppliers with these kinds of systems has quadrupled. So and the costs have come down. So I don't think it's going to be such a strange thing for a long time.
The take-up of EVs in South Africa has been relatively slow, I think in part because of the high import duties associated with EVs. There's a review of that happening now. But do you think South Africa is on the cusp of EVs taking off like we've seen in other markets?
I think so. There's the formal statistics, which of course exclude some of the Chinese manufacturers who are selling EVs here, who don't report their numbers, and we think those numbers are quite substantial. So first of all, there's underreporting of EVs in South Africa. Secondly, there are increasing sales of what you would call plug-in hybrid cars, which are both petrol and electric motors, and also of out-and-out hybrid cars. And you should look at hybrids as a transition phase to electric. So I think that actually you should always look at the market holistically, and you would say there's a move away from pure petrol and diesel cars into something that will eventually and quite soon end up in all electric cars. And I think once we build out our network and people can travel confidently, you will find that electric cars will explode. But already, even in Wolmaransstad, which is not a massive town, there are at least 5 electric vehicles.
Oh wow!
In Uppington, we believe there's 6. In Stanford, outside of Mons, we think there's 7. So that,
it's happening.
It's happening, and you go, you have a gathering of some people, whatever you're watching rugby match, and there will be at least 2 people with an electric car. So that has changed in the last year. 2 years ago, when we started, it did seem like a stretch. But now it's all over the place.
Fascinating. So, Andries, just lastly, this is along the N12 route, rather. If anyone's heading out through Wolmaransstad towards Kimberley, they can stop here. But just give us an idea of what EV drivers can expect when they pull in here. These are very fast chargers. We were told that they should be able to charge your car from flat to full in less than half an hour, perhaps even quicker. But what's actually here? What's at the site? What can people do while they charge their cars?
It was very important for us to give people an environment that was enjoyable and restful. So the first thing they will find is very fast Wi-Fi. The second thing we'll find is that every site there's either an existing farm stall or we're building a farm stall with food and coffee. They're obviously very clean and modern bathrooms.
Is the farm stall owned by yourselves? Or are you going to work through a national chain?
No, we build the farm stall, but we depend. In this case, the landowner wanted to do it himself. Okay. We will probably, for the rest of them, engage with a national supplier that's more knowledgeable than we are, and we'll just be landlords to that. But I'll tell you what is the unique thing. I was a couple of years ago. I was lucky enough to be in California, and somebody gave me completely coincidentally gave me a lift in a Tesla. And we drive along in the Tesla, and he has to recharge. We pull into one of these Tesla supercharging stations, and there are about 20 chargers. And while we were sitting there, I can't tell you how many Teslas came in to charge up. And this is what's different about this, is you're not going to drive somewhere on the back of a garage and use a slow charger off the wall. This is a dedicated environment where you will see other EV drivers, and there's something very special about that. It's almost like belonging to a club in a funny way. Yes. And I think that's the difference. So I think it's first of all, it's modern, it's clean, it's purpose built, it's focused completely around the customer. And I think people will find it an enjoyable and affirming experience. That's our hope anyway.
Andries, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
It was great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here now with Greg Kress. Greg is the Director of Automotive and E-Mobility at Accenture, and Big fan of EVs and EV development in South Africa. Greg, it's good to see you again. We're out at the site of Zero Carbon Charge just outside Wolmaransstad. What is the significance of this site?
You know, we're actually standing in the middle of nowhere, and you might wonder why this place for the first off-grid EV charging station in South Africa. And I think the answer is why not? It's because of the challenges we always have and the questions around range anxiety and not enough charging infrastructure, and I can't drive anywhere in South Africa. Well, this type of site proves that you can. You know, you just get into your car, you're getting onto a national road like the N12, you're heading out towards Kimberley or you're heading out towards the West Coast, and here we have a completely premium electric vehicle recharging station experience. And I think this is just a catalyst now for hopefully seeing many more of these coming out in the country.
All right, I'm here now with Nicholas Brooks. Nicholas is a senior energy advisor at the British High Commission.
That's right.
Nicholas, it's good to see you again.
It's lovely to see you again as well.
Tell me about this, the significance of the site and why the British High Commission is here today.
So we're here through the Just Energy Transition Partnership, which was agreed at the COP26. And what the Just Energy Transition Partnership wants to do is decarbonise South Africa. So there's a lot of talk about making sure we can get South Africa on coal generation, but the other part is decarbonising the transport sector as well. And this is why this site is really important. A completely off-grid EV charging, rapid EV charge point station for that matter, is a key part of that centre to try and decarbonise the transport as well. I mean, actually, transport is worth 10% of the emissions in South Africa, about 50 metric tonnes. It's a huge amount. So this is why it's still important, and it can't be forgotten.
All right, I'm here now with Menelaus Meli. He's head of electrical engineering at Zero Carbon Charge. Meli, tell me a bit about the technology that's been deployed at the site and why you chose the technology you did.
So we wanted to get a renewable energy solution to alleviate strain on the grid that EVs would cause. So we decided that PV, because South Africa is a very rich country in terms of sunshine, would be the obvious choice. So our solution involves PV with a containerized battery solution. Everything is fully integrated, fully tested in China, and tested before it arrives in South Africa. We're using state-of-the-art EV charging stations. They have on the right here a liquid-cooled 500 amp charging cable and connector, and on the left here a 200 amp charging cable and connector. And effectively what this liquid cooled cable will allow you to do is charge almost any EV in South Africa at close to its maximum charging rate. And as far as I'm aware, this is first in South Africa.
All right, I'm here with Dex Mashida now. Dex is the automotive lead at KPMG. Dex, it's good to see you again. Tell me what you think is the significance of the launch of this first Zero Carbon Charge off-grid EV charging station.
So I think, from my perspective at least, one of the most significant things about this is the fact that it's a dedicated charging stall. If you look at the deployments in South Africa up until now, it's primarily been attached to a forecourt, a mall, some sort of other facility which already existed where people would typically go to with their vehicles. So it was a natural, intersect between, where they're coming from versus where they're going to. But when you're looking at what Zero Carbon Charge has done here today, they've actually built a site from the ground up only for the purpose of providing EVs with charging. And I think this is a really important step in the sense that it actually signals to the market and even to the broader consumers that, this conversation we're having around, the transition towards electric mobility, it's actually starting to get into the mainstream. If you look at the northern hemisphere markets in which adoption has accelerated, it's once these type of dedicated sites that have come down, we're really starting to see the acceleration and the adoption of electric mobility. So I think that's really the most significant portion of the significant reason why this initiative that Zero Carbon Charge has taken up is, it's monumental.